Hello, everyone. It's so good to have you here with me once again. How are you all feeling today? I really want to know. So, leave a comment below with how you're feeling right now, and later, tell me how you feel after watching this video, alright? Of course, only after you've watched until the very end, okay? No skipping halfway through, because what I'm about to share could transform the way you view life. Shall we get started, then? Today, we're talking about the joy of being alone. Have you ever thought about that? So often, we get caught up in the idea that being alone is something negative, don't we? It seems like we need to be surrounded by people, noise, and constant activity to be happy. But what if I told you that, in reality, solitude, that time spent with yourself, is one of the most liberating and transformative experiences you can have? I want you to look inward now and think, am I comfortable being alone? Do I feel at ease when I'm by myself? If your answer is no, or if you still feel uneasy, it's all right. You're not alone in feeling this way. We've all been there. Society keeps telling us that being alone is something to be avoided. But, in truth, solitude can be a gift, a true path to self-awareness and inner peace. Let's reflect on this together. How many times have you been surrounded by people, at a party or an event, yet felt completely empty inside? That is loneliness. Being surrounded by others, but still feeling lost. Now, think of those moments when you were alone, perhaps reading a book, going for a walk, or just enjoying a sunset, and felt an immense peace. That is the true joy of being alone, that is solitude. It brings us clarity, helps us understand what we truly want, and, above all, brings us closer to God. I know you might be thinking, but I can't stay alone, I need company. I understand. We've been taught to fear silence, to dread time with our own thoughts. But I'd like to offer you an invitation. How about, starting today, you begin to see these moments of solitude as an opportunity? An opportunity to know yourself better, to love yourself more, to strengthen yourself spiritually. Because, my friend, the truth is that happiness isn't out there, it's within you. In the Bible, we find several passages where Jesus withdrew to solitary places to pray and renew his strength. In Luke 5 verse 16, it says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." Jesus showed us that these moments of solitude are important for our lives. It's in this silence, in this peace, that we can hear God's voice and find the answers we're searching for. So, what I want to say with all of this is, you can, indeed, be happy while being alone. Solitude is not a sign of weakness, it's not something to be avoided. Quite the opposite. It's a way to find yourself, to connect with what truly matters. It's an opportunity to seek God's presence and listen to what He has to say to you. It's like giving yourself a hug, saying, "I am here for you." And now, I challenge you to look at those moments of being alone through a different lens. Stop running away from them. Use these moments to reflect on who you are, what you love, and what you dream of. Use this time to strengthen your relationship with God. Because when we learn to be happy in our own company, everything around us changes. The people, the situations, nothing can take away that peace which comes from within. And this is just the beginning, you know? Because in the next few minutes, I want to dive even deeper with you into this idea that being alone can actually be a path to true happiness. I want to show you how solitude can be an incredible strength in your life and how you can use this time to renew and strengthen yourself. So, stick with me, because what comes next might be exactly what you need to hear today. The difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Now that we've talked a bit about the joy of being alone, I want to invite you to reflect on something very important, the difference between being alone and feeling lonely. You may have never thought about this before, but these two feelings are completely different, and understanding this difference can change how you look at your life. Many people think that being alone means being in solitude, and that solitude is always something bad. But let me tell you something, being alone and feeling lonely are two very different things. Loneliness is that emptiness we feel when we want to be with someone. For some reason, we can't. It's that sadness that hits when we feel disconnected, even if we're surrounded by people. Now, being alone, or what we call solitude, is a conscious choice. It's the moment when you decide to step away from the world's noise to connect with yourself and with God. Solitude is like giving yourself a hug. It's time you take to get to know yourself, to care for your heart and mind. And do you know why solitude is so important? Because it's in those moments that we find peace. How many times have you felt like you were in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by people, yet felt that emptiness inside? That's loneliness. Now, think of a time when you were alone, perhaps doing something you enjoy, reflecting, or simply enjoying the silence. That is solitude. A moment of peace, of being at ease in your own company. And I want to remind you of something very important. Jesus also practiced solitude. Look at what it says in Luke 5 verse 16, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." Jesus showed us that being alone can be a source of renewal and strength. He withdrew to pray, to connect with God, and came back stronger, more sure of who he was and of his mission. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you chose to spend some time alone? To listen to yourself, to reflect on who you are and what you desire? Sometimes, we are so afraid of being alone that we surround ourselves with things and people all the time, trying to fill a void. But the truth is that this void can only be filled when we learn to be content in our own company. And let me tell you something, solitude is liberating. When you start to appreciate those moments of being alone, you realize that you don't need others' approval to be happy. You find an inner strength, a peace that no one can take away from you. And that, my friend, is the key to a full and happy life. Now, I challenge you to practice solitude. Yes, I want you, after this video, to set aside a little time to be alone. But not to feel lonely, no. It's to take advantage of this moment to listen to yourself, to get to know who you truly are. It could be just 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be long. Sit in a quiet place, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how am I? What do I want for my life? And listen, don't be afraid of the silence. Do you know why? Because it's in the silence that we hear God's voice. He speaks to us when we allow ourselves to be still, when we choose to be alone and open up to this experience. So, do not confuse being alone with feeling lonely anymore. Solitude is a gift you give to yourself, a moment to grow stronger and find peace. You don't need crowds to be happy. True happiness begins when you discover the value of your own company, and that, my friends, is something no one can take away from you. So, are you ready for this experience? In the next part of the video, I will talk about how society often makes us believe that being alone is a bad thing. But listen, I'm going to show you that it's actually the complete opposite. So, stay here with me, and let's continue this journey together. Society and the myth of loneliness. Now, let's talk about something that, for sure, all of us have felt at some point, the pressure from society that makes us believe that being alone is wrong. Isn't it true? We live in a world that portrays, through social media, TV shows, and movies, that happiness only exists when we are surrounded by people, living perfect relationships, attending parties. But let me tell you something important, this is a myth. Society has created this idea that being alone is a sign of failure, that we must always be busy, our schedules packed with commitments, and surrounded by people to be happy. But in reality, this just makes us feel even more lost. We start seeking others' approval, comparing our lives to others, and when we finally find ourselves alone, we feel insecure and empty. But do you know what's amazing? When you start practicing solitude, you realize that you don't need anyone's approval to be happy. You discover that inner peace comes when you stop looking outside for something that already exists within you. Jesus taught us a lot about this. He wasn't afraid to withdraw and be alone to pray and reflect. The Bible tells us in Luke 5 verse 16, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." How powerful is that? He knew he needed those solitary moments to connect with God and renew his strength. So, don't fall for this idea that being alone is a bad thing. Being alone is a chance to reconnect with who you are, with your purpose. It's an opportunity to listen to yourself and understand what you truly want from life, without being swayed by what others think. When you grasp this, you start using moments of solitude as spaces for growth, for maturity. And that's when you begin to feel truly free. The joy of being in your own company. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you like your own company? It may seem like a simple question, but think about it for a moment. When you're alone, without distractions, do you feel good? If the answer is no, don't worry, I want to help you change that. We often struggle to be alone because we don't truly know ourselves. Life's rush, the constant noise, makes us ignore who we really are. But when you take the time to be with yourself, you begin to discover your likes, your dreams, and what truly makes you happy. In Psalm 46 verse 10, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." What a powerful message! This verse invites us to stop, to be still, and in the silence, find God's presence. It's in this moment of solitude that you begin to find joy in your own company. Because, at that moment, you realize you are not really alone, you are with yourself and with God. So, how about trying it? Choose something you like to do and do it alone. It could be reading a book, cooking, walking in the park. But do it without haste, without expectations. Just enjoy the moment. It will be difficult at first because we're used to keeping our minds always occupied, but with time, you will start to feel an incredible pleasure in being alone. You will see that, in these moments, you connect with your deepest self and with God's presence. And that connection is freeing. Solitude is a time for reflection and self-care. Now, I want to talk about a very important point: solitude as a moment of reflection and self-care. When we allow ourselves to be alone, we open up a wonderful opportunity to take care of ourselves. It's like a gift you give to yourself. We live at such a fast pace, trying to meet everyone's expectations, that we forget to take care of our own hearts, minds, and spirits. This is why solitude is so necessary. It offers us time to stop, breathe, and reflect on who we are and where we want to go. Jesus gave us a clear example of this. In Matthew 14 verse 23, we read, "After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray." Later that night, he was there alone. He understood the importance of stepping away from the noise, retreating into solitude to nurture his connection with God. And we need to do the same. So, next time you feel tired, overwhelmed, take a moment to be alone. Use this time to care for yourself, to ask, "How am I? What do I need right now?" That's self-care. It's listening to your own needs and treating yourself with kindness. It is in this instant of solitude that you find strength, recharge your energy, and gain clarity to move forward. Accepting solitude as a path to growth. And now, we come to a crucial point: accepting solitude as a path for your personal growth. You see, life is full of noise and distractions that prevent us from looking within and understanding who we truly are. Solitude is the way that leads us to this encounter with our truest self. When you accept solitude, you start to grow. It's like a seed that needs to be planted in the silence of the earth to bloom. In the same way, you need these moments of silence, of being alone, to grow stronger, to evolve as a person. You learn to deal with your fears, your desires, and find the courage to be who you truly are without needing anyone's approval. Jesus speaks to us about this in Matthew 6 verse 6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." It is in solitude, in secret, that you meet God and find the strength to grow. So, embrace solitude as your friend. Don't see it as a punishment, but as a gift. A gift that gives you the chance to know yourself, connect with God, and to find the path to true happiness. Because, in the end, happiness is not in the things or people around you, but in who you are and the peace you find within yourself. And that's it, everyone. Today, we reflected on the happiness of being alone and how solitude is a powerful tool for our growth, to connect with ourselves and with God. I hope this video has helped you look at these moments of being alone through new eyes, seeing them as opportunities for renewal and peace. Solitude is not something to be feared but to be embraced, because it is in this encounter with yourself that you discover the strength, wisdom, and joy that exist within you. So, the next time you find yourself alone, remember, you are not truly alone. You are with yourself and with God. And that is all you need to find true happiness. If this message touched your heart, I kindly ask you to leave a like below. Do you know why? When you give it a like, YouTube understands that this content is relevant and shows it to more people who might be in need of this word. It's a simple gesture but can make a difference in many lives. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, take this opportunity to subscribe now and activate the notification bell. Here, we always strive to bring messages that strengthen, inspire, and help you connect with what truly matters in life. I would love to have you with me on this journey. So, click to subscribe and become part of this community of people who are in search of something greater. I want to thank each one of you from the bottom of my heart for staying with me until now. You are amazing, and I hope this message has planted a seed of peace and self-awareness in your heart. Remember, you are capable, you are strong, and you can be happy in your own company. And to close, I leave you with a Bible verse to carry in your heart. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23 verse 1. May this truth always be with you. A big hug, and see you in the next video.